This article describes the composition and actions of the Argentine Air Forces in the Falklands War. For an overview of the air forces of the United Kingdom involved in the conflict, see British Air Services in the Falklands War. Background: despite initiating the war, Argentina had not prepared a plan for the subsequent defense of the islands. The military dictatorship that governed the country at the time regarded the seizure of the Falklands as a political act to obtain a diplomatic bargaining position, and not as an act of war. Consequently, they were taken by surprise when the British responded with a large-scale mobilization and a task force to retake the islands. The Argentine Air Force had never considered the possibility of waging a long-range naval air campaign against a major NATO power. It was not trained or equipped for such a mission. The FAA had only 2 tanker aircraft to serve the whole Air Force and Navy, and its fighter-bomber Mirage IIIs and IAI Daggers were not equipped for aerial refueling. The FAA's training, tactics and equipment were focused on a possible war against Chile, resulting from disputes such as the Beagle conflict. The option to attack Chile was a cause of great concern to the Argentina military during the war. The Chilean armed forces had deployed a significant force to Chile's common border with Argentina, and the FAA was forced to reinstate their retired F-86 Sabres to bolster Argentina's air defenses. This was politely declined by the Argentine government. As the war progressed, Peru and Venezuela sent critical aircraft spare parts to Argentina, urgently needed by the FAA, and the Brazilian Air Force leased 2 EMB-111 Bandeirantes maritime patrol aircraft to the Argentine Navy. Finally, on June 4, 10 Peruvian Mirage 5 with US-30 missiles arrived to Tandil, but the war ended before they could be used. Israel Aircraft Industries technicians that were in the country under the 1979 IAI Daggers contract continued their work during the conflict. By the best estimates, Argentina totaled about 240 planes when the war broke out. About half of those were posted in the interior and along the Chilean border. The long distances from their bases prevented them from using their top speed, or they risked running out of fuel. Although the Argentines had more aeroplanes than the British task force, a good number of them were Pucara turboprops. Also, the A-4 Skyhawk force were dependent on the 2 available KC-130 tankers, limiting the amount of aeroplanes that could attack simultaneously. Argentina's fleet of A-4 Skyhawk attack jets was in very poor condition. The arms embargo placed by the United States in 1976, due to the Dirty War, had made most airframes unusable. The involvement of Israel in helping to return the A-4 to full operational status has been alleged, but has never been confirmed. The smaller arm of the Argentine Navy was in the middle of the transition from the A-4Q Skyhawk to the new Super 8 Ondad. Only 5 of the 8 Ondad's anti-ship Exocet missiles had been delivered at the time of the conflict, at which point an arms embargo prevented the delivery of further shipments. Additionally, the required programming for the missiles to interact with the 8 Ondad's computers had not been completed by French engineers when the conflict broke out. France, being an ally of the United Kingdom, recalled all technicians, which left Argentine scientists and electronic engineers to figure out a way to make the missiles take input from the plane's computers. Navy pilots, particularly those of the 3rd Naval Fighters Squadron flying A-4Qs, were the only ones trained in bombing warships. Air Force pilots trained during April against the 2 Argentine Type 42 destroyers, similar to those of the British fleet. And according to the naval officers, all the sorties were shot down, causing great concern to the High Command until the successful May 1 strikes, which proved that aircraft could survive. Finally, Argentine military aviation had never been involved in an international conflict. Indeed, the last time the Argentine military had been involved in an international conflict was the War of the Triple Alliance more than a century before. In spite of these disadvantages, Argentine air units bore the brunt of the battle during the 6-week war, and inflicted serious damage and losses to the naval forces of the United Kingdom. Low-flying jets attacking British ships provided some of the most sobering and dramatic images of the war. By the end of the conflict, the British forces had come to admire the FAA's spirited conduct in the face of an effective air defence network. Admiral Sandy Woodward, the British Task Force commander, said, "The Argentine Air Force fought extremely well and we felt a great admiration for what they did." The British Operational Research Branch report, declassified and released to the public in February 2013, states, "Organization. The air units involved in the Falklands War were under the following chain of command. Military Junta, Brigadier General Basilio Lamerdoso. Air Defense Command, Brigadier George Hughes, was in charge of the radar network, Mirage IIIEA interceptors and anti-aircraft defenses on the mainland. Strategic Air Command, Brigadier Helmut Weber, coordinated air assets through all the country. Buckeye also had the main role of long-range maritime surveillance with Boeing 707s and C-130 Hercules. Southern Air Force, Brigadier Ernesto Crespo. The FAS was the main organization involved in combat over the conflict zone. South Atlantic Military Theater, Vice Admiral Juan Lombardo. Basically a naval command with the role of coordinating the air, surface and submarine assets in the South Atlantic area. Initially, during the invasion of the islands on the 2nd of April and before hostilities broke out, the islands were supposedly to be under their command and was considered as the only organization needed to manage the crisis. Falklands Military Garrison, Brigade General Mario Menendez. Air Component, Brigadier Luis Castellano. Deployment. Air units moved from home bases to southern facilities, amid fears about British, Chilean airstrikes or SHASH raids. Argentine aircraft were dispersed in the surrounding areas of their southern airfields, e.g., several parts of the National Route No. 3 were used for this purpose. Ezeiza International Airport, Buenos Aires. Boeing 707. Nas Almirante Czar, Trilu, Chubut Province. BMK-62 Canberra, AFB Comodoro Rivadavia, IX Air Brigade, Chubut Province. MAP KC, C-130 Hercules Fokker F-28 Esquadron Phoenix Mirage IIIEA FMAIA 58 Pucara CIC Comodoro. Air Traffic Control Center, Airfield Puerto San Julian, Santa Cruz Province. IAI Dagger, La Marinetta Squadron A4C Skyhawk Guardian and TPS-44 radar with GADA 601 Army. Airfield Puerto Santa Cruz Province. A4P Skyhawk, AFB Rio Gallegos, Santa Cruz Province. Mirage IIIEA 4P Skyhawk FMAIA 58 Pucara Navy Exploration Squadron. After the 13th of May, S-2E trackers and 2 leased Brazilian Air Force EMB 111 Bandeirantes CIC Gallegos. Air Traffic Control Center, Nas Almirante Quijada, Rio Grande, Tierra del Fuego. IAI Dagger, Las Avatadas Salvajes Squadron A4Q Skyhawk Super 8 Ondad SP-2H Neptune, AFB Puerto Argentino, Port Stanley Airport. Falkland Islands FMAIA 58 Pucara Air Force Mach EMB 339A Navy T-34 Mentor Navy helicopters from all services. CIC Malvinas and TPS-43 radar and anti-aircraft defenses from all services. AFB Condor, Goose Greengrass Airfield, Falkland Islands FMAIA 58 Pucara Air Force Anti-Aircraft Cannons Air Force. Nas Calderon, Pebble Island Grass Airfield, Falkland Islands FMAIA 58 Pucara Air Force T-34 Mentor Navy Short Skyvan Coast Guard aircraft carrier Aravane to Cinco de Mayo, April 2 to May 3 McDonnell Douglas A-4Q Skyhawk Grumman S-2E Tracker Sikorsky SH-3C King. Units. The numbers in bold are the number of aircraft engaged in combat without counting those in reserve. The numbers in brackets are the number of aircraft lost during the war. Argentine Air Force Spanish. Fuerza Aérea Argentina 1st Air Brigade, Lockheed C-130H Hercules, 7 Lockheed KC-130H Hercules Tanker 2 Boeing 7073 Fokker F-28 6 Fokker F-27 12, 2nd Air Brigade, English Electric BMK-62 Canberra 8 Grupo Aerofotografico, Learjet 35 AL2. 3rd Air Brigade, Falkland Islands, FMAIA 58 Pucara 24 Comodoro Rivadavia, FMAIA 58 Pucara, 4th Air Brigade, McDonnell Douglas A-4C Skyhawk 15. 5th Air Brigade, McDonnell Douglas A-4B Skyhawk less than 35. 6th Air Brigade, Israel Aircraft Industries Daggett 30. 7th Air Brigade, Boeing CH-47C Chinook 2 Bell 212-2. 8th Air Brigade, Dassault Mirage IIIEA-17. Argentine Navy Spanish. Comandida Aviation Naval Argentina, Cone 1st Naval Air Attack Squadron, Air Macchi MB 339A6. 2nd Naval Air Fighter Attack Squadron, Dassault Super 8 Ondad 4. 3rd Naval Air Fighter Attack Squadron, McDonnell Douglas A-4Q Skyhawk 8. Naval Air Anti-Submarine Squadron, Grumman S-2E Tracker 6. Naval Air Training Squadron, Beechcraft T-34 Mentor 4. Naval Air Exploration Squadron, Lockheed SP-2H Neptune 2. 1st Naval Air Helicopter Squadron, Aerospatial Alouette AIO-310C Lynx 2. 2nd Naval Air Helicopter Squadron, Sikorsky SH-3C King 5. Naval Air Transport Squadrons, Lockheed L-188 Electra 3 Fokker F-28 3. Argentine Army Spanish. Comandida Aviation de la Ejército Argentino 601 Army Aviation Battalion, Boeing CH-47C Chinook 2 Augusta A-1093 Bell UH-1H Iroquois 9 Aerospatial, Puma SA-330L5, South Georgia April 3 Aerospatial Puma SA-330L1. Argentine Coast Guard Spanish. Prefectura Naval Argentina Aviation Service, Aerospatial Puma SA-330L1 Short Skyvan 2. Argentine Traffic Planes Esquadron Phoenix, 30 civilian business planes. Gates Learjet, Cessna Citation, Hawkers Italy HS-125, Aero Commander 690 and Mitsubishi Mu-2. Aerolíneas Argentinas and Austral Airlines. Boeing 737 and BAC-1 to 11. Armament. Machine guns and cannons. 7.62 mm FMM2-20. Pucara's 20 mm Colt Mk-12 cannon. A 4S 20 mm Hispano Suiza HS 804 cannon. Pucara's 30 mm DEFA cannon. IAI daggers and Mirage IIIEA. Unguided rockets. 70 mm. MB339's 105 mm. Pucara's missiles. Air-to-air. AIM-9B Sidewinder short-range IR. Only Navy A-4Q Skyhawks up to May 1 Rafael Shafrir 2 short-range IR. Only IAI daggers on May 1 Matruh R-550 Magic short-range IR. Received April 15 for Mirage IIIEA Matruh R-530 short-range semi-active radar. Mirage IIIEA to surface. Aerospatial AIM-39 Exocet anti-ship missile. 5 units on Super 8 Hondards 30 air surface missiles, supplied by the Peruvian Air Force and arriving at the Tandil AFB at the end of May. The war ended before they could be used. Unguided retarded gravity bomb. 13 bombs hit British ships without detonating as they were dropped from very low altitude and there was insufficient time in the air for them to arm themselves. The problem was solved by June with new fuses bought in Spain. US-built Mark Chapter 82. A 4S and IAI daggers British-built, £1,000. A 4S, IAI daggers and Canberra's napalm. Pucarás. Air Campaign. Battle of San Carlos. Bluff Cove air attacks. Missions attack missions. Other missions. Successes casualties and aircraft losses human losses. 6 Army Aviation, 4 Naval Aviation 55 Argentine Air Force members 29 pilots 12 aircrew 14 ground crew. Aircraft lost in the air. No suffix. Air Force. Argentine strike aircraft did not carry air-to-air missiles, with the exception of 8th Air Brigade Mirage IIIEA fighters and 6th Air Brigade daggers on May 1. All retained a secondary armament of either 20mm or 30mm cannon. Destroyed on the ground 9 FMAIA 58 Pucara 1 Augusta A109 Army 1 Boeing CH-47C Chinook Army 2 Aerospatial Puma SA-330L Army 4 Beechcraft T-34 Mentor Navy 2 Skyvan 3M Coast Guard 2 Bell UH-1H Iroquois Army. Captured after the war 11 FMAIA 58 Pucara 2 Augusta A109 Army 7 Bell UH-1H Iroquois Army 1 Boeing CH-47C Chinook Army 1 Aerospatial Puma SA-330L. Coast Guard 3 Air Macchi MB 339A Navy 2 Belt 212. Lost with ARA General Belgrano 1 Aerospatial Alouette AI-03 Navy. Flying accident in the war zone 1 Westland Lynx has Mk-23 Navy. The 2nd of May, hit Tara Santissima Trinidad 2 FMAIA 58 Pucara. The 28th of May, hit ground. Recovered in 1986, the 24th of May. 1 Air Macchi MB 339A Navy. The 3rd of May, bad weather crash 2 McDonnell Douglas A4C Skyhawk. The 9th of May, South Jason Island. Total 75 fixed-wing aircraft and 25 helicopters.